Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be, I want to win her back. I gotta get her back, or else I just can't take it. I got an email here from a guy. He's actually been a coaching client of mine off and on for about the past 4 or 5 years. Really a cool guy. And I remember when I first started coaching him, he hadn't had a date or hooked up in something like 3 or 4 years, I think it was. And he was a little reluctant and skeptical, and I worked with him, and he did the things that I suggested. And within about like 6 months, he was meeting women left and right. And so I hadn't talked to him in several years. Obviously, things have been good. And for the past year or so, he's been dating a woman that he's been really into. She hasn't been as hot or as beautiful as many of the other women that he's hooked up with, but she's got a really kick-ass personality, and they really jive well, and they get along great. Well, over the summer, they were talking, and he just wasn't, you could tell he wasn't feeling it, wasn't really into it anymore. I mean, again, she wasn't physically knocking his socks off like some of the other women, but he had such a good time with her, enjoyed her so much, that's why he ended up getting serious. She asked him to be exclusive. He said yes. I mean, he was doing everything right in the beginning. And then over the summer, they were talking, and she says, do you want to see other people? And he said yes, because he wasn't sure at the time that he really wanted to stay dating her. And so they both started dating other people again. And she went back to an ex-boyfriend, which a lot of women do. And it wasn't a very good relationship with this ex-boyfriend. And once he saw, and he still continued to date and see her, it was kind of an open relationship at the time. But after several months of that, he decided, you know what, I don't want to date anybody else. I only want to be with you. And then he was upset that she didn't instantly fall back in love with him again. And so what's interesting is as we go through his email, you're going to see that scarcity creates value and rejection breeds obsession. And because he realized that she wasn't as into him as she was before, because she was seeing the ex-boyfriend and hoping things were going to work out with this guy, then he really became fearful. And it's just interesting to see how it's affected him. And as I go through these things, these are all things that I talked about with him in our phone session that we had a few weeks ago. But you can tell he's still in a fearful state. He's focused on trying to lock her down. And he's really upset that she's not back in love with him the way she was over the summer. And after he told me a lot about her, it's like she sounds like a really great girlfriend. She communicates, they get along great. You know, he said she's not the greatest communicator, but he is able to open her up and get her to talk about things. And she just had so many other qualities that outweighed the fact that physically she wasn't a total 10. And so it's just interesting to see the progression and where he's at. He's in a fearful state. And you can tell when a guy's in this kind of state, he's worried, he's fearful, he's going to try to force things. But when he interacts with her, he's exercising a lot of emotional self-control, and he's doing things right, but internally he's ready to jump out of his skin. So I got a quote that I wrote, and then we're going to go through his email. Oh, one thing I forgot. As far as the new book, my new book is out on Kindle so far. The audiobook is, the book ended up being about 600, I think it's 652 pages long. And because we've been playing with the margins, so with like the paperback and the hardcover, they're going to be out in like 4 to 6 weeks from the time of this video. The audiobook will be going live probably in the next week, 7 to 10 days probably, because it's got to go through the approval process and stuff like that. But if you want to get it, you can go to Amazon right now. The only place it's available right now is on Amazon and through the Kindle. And if you just go there, you can look at my other book. The title of the book is called Mastering Yourself: How to Align Your Life with Your True Calling. So you can at least start with the Kindle, or if you want to wait for the Audible. Like I said, the audiobook will be out in a week or so, but the paperback and the hardcover, because I have to get proofs, got to make sure all the margins line up, the cover fits right, and all that kind of stuff. So we're in the process of ordering those, and it takes a couple weeks to get that, and then usually it can take up to like 6 weeks before the book filters down to all the global distribution channels. So just be patient. Mastering Yourself: How to Align Your Life with Your True Calling. I hope you guys really enjoy it. So with that said, let's go through the quote, and we'll get into his email. And the quote says, learning to practice infinite patience Stick to your ideals, values, and goals often feels impossible when you are in a fearful state. Fear of the future and feeling not good enough will make anyone try and force things to happen in order to gain certainty about the future and have a sense of peace about one's current life circumstances. The key is to do whatever it takes to get yourself into a peaceful and relaxed state and let go of any attachments to your outcomes and the time frames you expect things to happen. The reality is that things never work out exactly as you expect them to, but when you can look back upon your current situation in the future, you can always see that things worked out perfectly anyway. People who are meant to be in your life will willingly choose to be there if, that's big if, you give them the time, space, and freedom to choose you willingly instead of trying to force things. Otherwise, you'll drive them right out of your life and talk them out of liking and loving you. Definitely some things to consider. So he says, "Hi, Coach. My girl lives 2 hours away, and we usually meet on weekends. We agreed to be exclusive in January of this year after I pushed her away last summer, and she had hooked up with her ex and was trying to get back with him. And I managed to somewhat reattract her. She wasn't overly eager about exclusivity, and I brought it up, not her, but she did say okay." So obviously, because he's trying to lock her down because he could tell that she's kind of slipping away. She was starting to get more emotionally invested in the toxic ex-boyfriend. Put him into a fearful state, put him in a total tailspin. He says, "My gut has always told me that something was off." Well, the reality is and just like I told you in our phone session, is that her attraction, it takes a long time for a woman to fall in love. Usually 2 to 3 months. If a guy does everything right, usually right about 7 weeks from the time you have your first date until she brings up exclusivity. But you're looking at least 2 months for the average woman to fall. And now these are normal women. These are not fucking lunatics. My book will make the lunatics go lunatic really fast so you can screen them out and boot them out of your life before you get too far down the road. A normal, healthy woman is going to respond great to the things that I teach. But it takes about 2 months on average for the average woman to fall in love. It takes time for her to fall out of love, and then once she's fallen out of love, it takes time for her to fall back in love. She was wanting to have kids, wanting to settle down, have a family, the whole thing, and then he was, his attitude towards, he really hurt her. He just was like, yeah, let's see other people. She's thinking about babies and kids, so you can imagine. I was like, dude, it's going to take some time to rebuild that. Because in the back of her mind, she's going to be thinking, well, does he really mean it? Is he really serious? Does he really mean it this time? Does he really care about me? So she's going to be cautious. Any guy or girl would be cautious about that. Because say she falls back head over heels in love with him again, what's to say he doesn't get to the same point where he gets kind of cocky and feels like, I guess I really do want to date other people. And then he breaks her heart a second time. Because the reality is, most of the time when a guy gets back a girl that things have gone sideways with, because you got to look at it from the perspective of, at some point, people stop putting their best foot forward. And in the guy's case, most guys, when they're not feeling it or they're not as into it as anymore, they don't date her properly. Things just become routine. They sit around the house and they do the same thing, order some takeout. Every weekend it becomes the same routine. He's no longer investing the effort to court and date her properly and communicate properly and open her up properly. And so it happens over many months, and guys that are in long-term relationships, obviously many years. So it's a very slow process. And then it's when the guy realizes the woman's leaving or is not happy or is not in love with him anymore or is confused, that's when he freaks out, and that's where the rejection breeds obsession tends to come in, because he didn't really give a fuck. He could take it or leave it because he was dating lots of different women when he met her. And both of them continued to date other people for a period of time, and I think it was 6 months, a year or so before they even got exclusive. And she was always chasing, always pursuing him. He got cocky, got full of himself, then said he wanted to date other people, started dating other people, and then once he noticed she was kind of slipping away, then all of a sudden he started caring. And that's the one thing I always point out, is that you say you do everything right and you do continue to exercise emotion control, and she falls back in love, head over heels in love with you again. You got to look at the fact that, what were you thinking and feeling when you told her, I want to date other people? because that's typically where you get back to. Not all guys, but about 97%, 98%. You get to that place where the relationship has kind of run its course, but the average person is just too fearful to go it alone because they're afraid that they're not going to find anybody better. So that's what I always point out when I do phone sessions with people, is that you get her back, she's not going to be any different than she was before. She's still the same person. There are some things that he doesn't like about her that, from a value perspective, she doesn't have the same kinds of values that he does. So he says, my gut has always told me that something was off, like she was emotionally invested elsewhere. It's just low attraction level, dude. You're expecting her to exhibit all the signs of a woman who's in love, and the reality is she ain't in love. He says, however, your coaching helped me understanding that my fears may have been clouding my judgment and how I am showing up. Yeah, you got to be patient. You got to practice infinite patience. You got to let women come to you at their pace. I mean, it took time for her to fall in love and build that trust, and you broke that trust. You violated it. So therefore, she has every reason to be skeptical and doubt that you're actually serious. And you'll see there's some things that she says to him that she's kind of probing and testing. Does he really mean it? Does he really care? Is he really serious? Or is he just trying to ingratiate himself to me so I go back to being the way I was? So he says, however, your coaching helped me understanding that my fears may have been clouding my judgment and how I am showing up, that I should exercise emotional self-control and always assume the best, but look at her actions. He also said I should plan a special date since I said I'll make it up to you regarding not seeing her the prior weekend. He was busy the prior weekend and couldn't get together with her, and kind of told her at the last minute that he wasn't going to be able to see her that weekend because he was mad because she wasn't falling for him quick enough. So it was like his way of kind of punishing her, which is kind of passive-aggressive behavior. That's not healthy. You don't want to do that. But I said, you told her you're going to make it up to her, so make it up to her, because if you say you're going to make it up to her for the fact that you didn't see her next weekend, and you just go, she comes over and you just order some pizza and beers and hang out at home and watch some movies, some Netflix and chill, you're not following through. It's like you're bullshitting her. And those are the kinds of things women are smart enough to know to look at a guy's actions as a true reflection of how he really feels. So I called her while we were on the coaching call with you and we agreed to meet up on Sunday. She drove to my city the following Friday, and on arriving to her apartment, she texted, "Hey, hon, I'm home safely. Sleep tight." My response 45 minutes later was, "Happy to know, if possible, I'll pick you up at 4 if it works better." Or it works better. He says, "Let me know. Enjoy your night." I suggested the change of time because I want to surprise her and take her to go see a play, which I know she'd love, and that starts around 5. And I got no response until 12 o'clock the following day. And her response was, "Yep, that's fine. I'll come by you." When I saw her, she didn't jump into my arms and kiss me passionately like she has done in the past, but appeared mildly enthusiastic. So I would say attraction level, probably around a 6 or a 7. They're not going to be jumping in your arms unless the attraction level is an 8 or a 9. That's all you got to look at it from that perspective. We kissed, but she pulled away first after a short time. So you can tell it's like every little thing he's focused on trying. In his mind, it's like it should be better than it is. And it's not. It's not like it used to be, and it's really bothering him. So in his mind, he's like, what can I do to make this happen? Because he's looking for certainty. Certainty is that, I'm going to have a roof over my head, things are going to work out. Because when you have certainty about something, you'll be able to pay your bills, or somebody loves you and cares about you, or that you're going to have a job. That gives you a sense of inner peace. And that's what he's really looking for. He's looking for a sense of inner peace, that the relationship part of his life, or the romantic part of his life, is on autopilot and all things are great, and right now it's not. And so that's fucking with his inner peace, because he's focusing on what may or may not happen in the future, and also why things presently aren't like they were in the past. And the reality is he only has himself to blame because he blew her off like she was fucking nothing. He says, while driving from the play on our way to dinner, she took out her phone and was texting other people briefly on 2 occasions. We went to a nice restaurant, and at one point in the conversation, she basically told me she was feeling down. Really? What about, honey? Tell me more about that. And when she wakes up in the morning, she has no interest in getting out of bed. She pulls back the sheet over her head. She's tired all the time and has no energy to study when she gets home. She's enrolled in online master's class, and since the last 2 weeks, she's been enrolled in other short classes. When I tried to open her up using her technique, she just hinted that it was partly due to a situation at home. She lives with her family, and that she doesn't want to talk about it. Most of the time, when a woman says, I don't want to talk about it, they're really saying, well, do you really care about me? Do you really want to know? Because if you really want to know, you're going to keep digging because you care about me, because you can tell that I'm really upset. And if a guy just listens to that and goes, okay, and then he changes the subject, then she gets pissed off. And the guy's like, you told me you didn't want to talk about it. Well, if you really care, you'll want to know, because you don't want to see your queen being down or upset. You want to open her up and not solve her problem, but get her to talk about it, like I talk about in communicating with women effectively, which might be a good video for you to watch again. How to communicate with women effectively. It's one of the earliest videos I did, I think. And has been spending excessively on her cellular data plan for her research and study. So I said that when she comes up on weekends, she can come to my place anytime and use my Wi-Fi, to which she responded she doesn't want to inconvenience me. Baby, you're never an inconvenience. I love spending time with you. That's the response to that. Because again, you can see she totally doubts that he's serious, that he really means it. Because she's expected him to go back to the way he was. Now all of a sudden he seems to care, whereas before he couldn't give a two fucks. All I could think as Corey is that she now has me as her exclusive partner, and I am ready for this girl to move in with me, marry her, and make babies with her. Dude, you need to slow your fucking roll. Because you can't make that decision until she gets back to the point where she's totally in love with you again, maybe 6 months, a year down the road, and see how you feel about her then. Because you may get her to fall back in love with you again, and then 4 or 5 months down the road, you're like, you feel the same way that you did last summer. And then how do you think she's going to feel if you dump her once again? So obviously anybody's going to be skittish about that. So she doesn't trust you. She doesn't feel safe and comfortable with you because the fact that you wanted to see other people when she was ready to settle down and have babies with you. So obviously she's skeptical as fuck. And every little thing he says, she doubts his sincerity, like when she says, I don't want to talk about it. She doubts that he really cares enough to want to know what's bothering her. So he says she's not only depressed instead of happy, but she rejects my attempts to support her in one of the most important things in her life. Well, again, it takes time to reform those emotional bonds, and you're upset that things aren't the way they are right now. It's going to take a couple months. I told you that in our phone session. You have to be patient. Remember, you must love in such a way that the person you love feels free. So trying to smother her and force things is not going to make her feel freedom. It's going to make her feel like she's losing her freedom. And then the attraction's going to drop, and she's going to pull away and test you even more. We went back to my place and had good sex, but mostly due to my efforts, and had sex again in the morning, but she was a total dead fuck. Should remember, when a woman feels heard and understood, the legs open, and when she doesn't, the legs close. And so on some level, at least when you got back to your place, you should have spent more time getting her to talk. Baby, you seem kind of down. What's up? Talk to me. Tell me. Oh, I don't want to talk about. Oh, don't tell me you don't want to talk about. I want to know what's going on. I hate to see you unhappy. I hate to see you sad. What's going on? Tell me. Talk to me. I'm your man. Come on. Get her to talk about it, dude. Go back and review how to communicate with women effectively. It's also, I talk about it in the book. He says, my gut tells me that my feelings have been too clear. He's all focused on himself, dude. The whole purpose of all relationships is you go there to give. You're there to show her a good time, and you're focused on what you're getting out of it. When you focus on yourself, you're going to experience pain in the relationship. I mean, it's healthy to see what actions are coming back, but the bottom line is you're getting mad and upset about things that really, I mean, the way she feels about you is due to your actions and how you treated her. So you're going to have to take your time, dude. It's like you let the boiling water on the stove get cold because you turned off the heat when you walked away. So you turn the heat back up on full blast. Water doesn't boil instantly, unless, of course, you're like at a really high altitude. But it's going to take time. Don't be in such a rush, dude. You got your whole fucking life. And that she is heartbroken it didn't work out with the other guy. Well, I'm sure she's probably upset about the other guy, but the bottom line is she chose you over him. She blew him off to get back together with you, because the reality is you're a much better fucking dude and a better boyfriend than the other guy ever could or would be. And again, she's going to be skeptical. She doesn't trust you. Should I continue to plan great dates and risk being dumped? What is the simple formula? The 3 H's: hang out, have fun, hook up. Your job as a man is to create an opportunity for sex tap and hang out, have fun, and hook up. That's it. You know, he waits to hear from her. She reaches out. He sets the next date. She always reaches out a couple times a week, not as much as she used to, but it's going to take time. And he's on the right path. He's doing the right thing. So far, so good. Do you think I should walk and never look back and leave the door open? It's like, why? I'm breaking up with you because you're not in love with me? Call me when you're in love with me? It doesn't work that way. The courtship never ends. The romance is the whole part that gets her to the point of falling in love and allowing her to come to you at her pace. And every time she gets around you, she has a good experience. She has great sex, great conversation. She laughs a lot. She has fun. Stop being so fucking serious, dude. Don't take yourself so goddamn seriously. Stop walking around like a dude's got a fucking stick jammed up his ass and just relax, man. Everything will be Irie. How should I word it? You shouldn't word anything. Hey, babe, great to hear from you. I want to see you. What are your thoughts on the best actions to win her back? The same thing I told you in our phone coaching session. Wait to hear from her. Make the next date. Hang out, have fun, and hook up. And her falling back in love is just simply a matter of time. You treat her right, she will definitely treat you right. So if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is go to my website, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and book whatever coaching option works for you. And I will talk to you soon.